Hi, now we will look into how to do an audio configuration for different digital audio workstations. Let's start with reviewing the configuration that I had. So for the simple case, I will use Digitakt as it has 12 channels in and 2 channels out. And this will be simulating the kind of a basic sound card in general, where you have like 2 channels or two channels in and 2 channels out. To show how to configure a complex audio setup, I will use the aggregate device that I have created named PR Audio. This device has pretty much 58 channels in and 48 channels out, and it is aggregating Universal Audio Thunderbolt devices, a drum machine, and the drums. So this is a good one to use for a complex audio configuration in digital audio workstations. Okay, as we now have our background covered, let's jump into Logic Pro X to see how it is configured for the audio. Okay, let's start Logic Pro X and see how the audio configuration is done in Logic. We'll start by creating an empty project so it's easy to work with, and let's create two audio tracks that we can use then to play around with the routed audio. In Logic Pro X, the setting of an audio is underneath Logic Pro X settings and audio. And here you can select the output device and input device. In our case now, if we go with the simple way and simple model first, let's select the Digitakt and go with that one to start with, and then later on we will look how to use these aggregate devices in Logic Pro X. So yeah, now I selected Digitakt and then I say apply, and now it will basically change the system to use that output and input device. Then now basically when it comes to configuring audio, I need to actually open up a mixer, and then from here I can see that this first channel is a mono channel and this one is mono as well, but pressing that one you can change it into stereo, so we can actually name this accordingly. Just for the reason that it's easier to follow. Selecting a channel goes from the pop-up menu, so you can actually select these. However, now you can see that when I change the device, I don't have any labels on this, so I would need to figure out that what is input 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on and so forth. So it is quite challenging for me to understand that what are these. But now I changed it into mono. I can see that there are some labels, but again, these are not correct. So why is that? In Logic Pro X, you can deal with these labels in I/O labels, and here you can basically define your own labels to be used. But the thing is that these are not device specific like in others. So if you change the device, the labels will stay, and that's why you actually might have problem of seeing and understanding what it is about. So you actually need to go and I think these provided by the driver are more helpful than the labels that I have, because those are wrong. But then I could use my own and just mark them here because this is right. I tested this, so I made it already, but you can easily edit this because you just go double click on it and then you edit it, and then you approve it. But then when I scroll down, I see that here are some labels that I use with my primary driver. So they are like not valid. Then this is also a bit funny that it firstly lists all input channels in mono. Then it actually lists output channels in mono. And after that comes the stereo channel label. So again, if I click here, now I can use this from the driver. But if the driver does not have these correctly defined, then you would need to use your own label and do like main left and right. So this is how you work with labeling in Logic Pro X. It's a bit more tedious and it's not that great compared to the others. Anyway, it helps for you to understand that you know what channels you are using. And like if I take this left channel that from the internal that comes from the Moog Mother 32, I'll select that one. Then for this I could basically use the stereo channel and select it. So now if I arm that track and play some sounds from Digitakt, you can hear that and see that yeah, now all the routing is are working, and of course we are hitting in a channel in a bit too high and too hot, but anyway, the main idea is to show that how this works. And then of course I can disarm that and arm another one, and when I basically play that one, then I can get sounds from it. So so yeah, this is how it basically works in a simple configuration. The same goes with stereo outs, but now there aren't that many channels on stereo out, so I can't really do much. So it just goes to the main out, and that's it pretty much in this simple case. I'll reset these, and I'll reset also the audio driver to my aggregate device, and we can look a bit more complex sample. So now, of course, if I go and look into the labels, they haven't changed as they are not device dependent, which is kind of unfortunate. I could use the ones that I get from the device as well, but I prefer use mine. Here I don't have these channels mapped, so I don't label them. Then again, I have these channels mapped, and then for example, I mapped this from my TR-8S based on the seed sheet that I created, showing that you know where I have my kick drum and snare. So I have just marked them over here. We could also basically add, as an example, we could add one here, like the LT with low tom. Let's do that just to show that you know I can go here, say that yeah, I want to use this, and say LT here, so low tom, and now I could hear the low tom from this channel, and I know that what this channel is about. So now if I go here and go and select an input, I can basically do a microphone or external or so, or I can use the kick drum from the TR. And then of course when I go over here and I go for the input, I can go and see that yeah, actually this one is the TR-8S stereo channel that brings all the audio in. So now if I play that one, all the audio will get routed in, and if I just disarm that and arm that, now we can just hear the kick drum. And then when it comes to the stereo output, there I can also of course then use this, but the same applies here, that you need to label them in order to understand what they are. And that happens in the same place in IO labels. So you need to go to stereo out, for example, in this case, and say that, hey, this one is line 3 and 4. And now when I go back over here, this one is much more meaningful for me than these numbers, so that I know that these are actually the channels that have been mapped out. This is actually how Logic works when it comes to audio configuration. And when looking at other digital audio workstations, Logic is not the best one in this case. So others are better on dealing these type of things and defining the labels for the channels and so on and so forth. Anyway, if you don't need to change them often, this will of course work fine. This concludes the configuring audio settings in Logic Pro X. Next we will do it in Studio One. Remember to subscribe for the channel. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye now.